Hi, my name is Branham, and I'll be exploring potential markets for a Budweiser IPA. Some of our initial findings were that some states have more breweries than others, notably Colorado. IBU is missing for about half the data set, which is a critical measurement. So we provide a couple different methods on how to treat that. When we're looking at the scatter plot of ABV versus IBU, we see a positive correlation between the two, and additional evidence supports the claim that we could use those to differentiate between different beer styles. Our K&N clustering model that we ran, we reached an upward of 85% accuracy, which is great. And then utilizing the state population and the number of IPA beers brewed, we were able to conduct regional analysis. When we're looking at how many breweries exist per state, Colorado leads the pack, with the top 5 states being Colorado, California, Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. We combined the brewery and beer data set on a one-to-many relationship based on the brewery ID in order to provide geographic location to each beer. And from there, we calculated the statistics of null values within the data set and found that about 1,005 null values exist for IBU and 62 for ABV. Our first approach was to just drop all records with NA values, which would reduce the data set to 1,405 values. Because IBU is a critical key variable, we decided to provide some imputation values as well, which you'll see is ABV corrected and IBU corrected, which we could use for later analysis. When we're looking at the median ABV and IBU per state, we can see that the median ABV ranges from 4 to 6%, with Budweiser in the middle at about 5% ABV. But when we're looking at median IBU per state, we see a large difference among the states, suggesting that consumers are more sensitive to the bitterness in their beer. When we're looking at how high consumers are willing to go, we see that Colorado has the highest ABV beer on the market at 12.8%, and Oregon has the highest IBU beer at 138 IBU. The distribution of ABV shows a right skew, suggesting that most buyers prefer their beers at or below about 5.7% ABV within the craft beer market. When we plot ABV versus IBU, we can see a strong linear relationship between the two, which could also raise an additional research question. Do buyers prefer more bitterness with stronger beers? Is that something that maybe balances the ABV out? When we're looking at the correlation of ABV and IBU for IPA and ales, we can see there's definitely some notable differences, which become more evident when we overlay the beers. As you can see by the orange and green clusters, there's about a visual boundary at about 50 IBU. In order to perform machine learning, we broke our data set into about 70% training and 30% testing. And then we ran some histogram analysis just to, again, make sure that those are good parameters to be using for arguments in our K&N model. When we looked at our results here, we found that K equals 5 yielded an accuracy of 86.1%, and K equals 10 yielded an accuracy of 85%, suggesting that K equals 5 is a little bit better. To further optimize, we ran 90 different K values on 100 different random samples and found that the best K value was 5. The classification methods that we used were also brought to different machine learning models, and we can see that they all were within the same realm of accuracy, within about 3%, with the support vector machines actually having the highest accuracy. When we're looking at at the best state to launch our Budweiser IPA, we counted the relative percent IPA per total craft beers in each state, but found that a lot of these states were New England states with kind of low population counts, which would mean a smaller market to launch. To adjust for this, we pulled in 2019 consensus data and counted the total IPA per state divided by 100,000 residents in each state. It's a method commonly used by the government in their studies to provide robustness against high and low populous states. After our adjustment, we found that Vermont, Colorado, Alaska, Montana, and Oregon were the best individual states to launch. And if we're extending that to a region, we found that the Pacific Northwest was the best region to enter, with the Southeast region being the worst region to enter. So our final recommendations are that if we're looking for 5 markets to invest in, it could be Vermont, Colorado, Alaska, Montana, or Oregon. However, if we're looking for a particular region for a trial run of the Budweiser IPA, we recommend the Pacific Northwest and would definitely not recommend the Southeast region until we're more confident in scaling our product.